Sun. These are our folks born from July 23rd through August 22nd. Leo, as you may know if you are a Leo or if you've dated or if you're dating a Leo, this is the lion. That's the symbol, the animal symbol. When I think of Leo, I think of the sun, though. I like to think of the way that a lion radiates its roar out away from itself, right? Our sun radiates its light and energy and radiation out from its body, which of course keeps our planet here, the Earth, keeps our ecosystem working, keeps us all alive. It's why we have plants to eat and animals have plants to eat, and etc., and oxygen and all the good stuff that we need here to keep this beautiful planet humming. So with that comes creativity. You think of all the things that are here on the earth, and it's a process of creation, of birth and death and regeneration and over again. That's all fueled by the sun. So when you think of a Leo, I want you to think of this dynamic, outward, creative energy. That is Leo. A Leo is here to self-express. They're here to be heard, to be seen. Many times Leos, if someone has a very strong Leo chart, you know them when you see them. I met two Leos just this past week, and I knew immediately before they even told me their birthday that they were Leo, or at least had a Leo rising or a Leo moon, you know. Leo has a colorfulness, and not literal colorfulness necessarily, although it can be, but there is a sparkly, energetic, charismatic energy that comes from the Leo. Okay. Now, on the high side with Leo, we have a fixed sign. So this is someone who, once they've made their mind up about something, they're quite loyal and they're committed, sometimes to a fault even. They can sometimes, like the Taurus or sometimes the Scorp, or, you know, they sometimes can get themselves in situations where they stay longer than they should, okay? Not always. Now, if they're, as long as they're being admired and they feel like this is a situation where they're getting their pets and the affection and the time and the admiration that they need from their partner, they can overstay relationships that are maybe with partners who are on again, off again. You know, that can sometimes happen to a Leo, because when it's on, it's really good and they feel fantastic, and then when it's off, they can feel dejected and they want to win back the on again affections of their partner, if that makes sense. So that can happen sometimes with Leo. Now, back to the Leo temperament, though. Also, this is a personality type that's quite protective of loved ones. It's a fire sign. They have a natural leadership quality to them. They are warm and affectionate. They're quite generous. They like to, many times, a lot of Leo's men in particular, they're gift givers, you know. Because there's a nostalgia, sort of like the way Cancer is nostalgic, but in a different way. They like to be giving the gifts or giving the love. You know, that's this outward flow of energy. But also, let's move to the shadow side of Leo. On the shadow side, Leo can also be pouty. If they're not getting the attention that they want or that they feel they deserve, they can be pouty. They can be you know, like they're the divine child, actually, of the zodiac, the divine child, the sun, and you know, they can, at times, if they feel like they're not being loved by their partner, as a mother would love a child, they pout like a little baby. So also, Leos need to feel like they're number one. They need to feel like they are the be-all and end-all. I have so many clients. This is really funny. It's anecdotal, of course, but I would say I can think of right now 5 or 6 different clients who have and also 2 people that I've dated who have exes who have their moon in Leo, that are female with the moon in Leo, and who broke up with, okay, mind you, they broke up with the male partner, but then after that male partner has moved on to a new female, the Leo moons come back into the picture, okay? Or they still need to feel like they're number one, even though they don't even really care about the partner, okay? Now this is shadow side. So hopefully if you're listening to this and you're a Leo, you don't do such silly tricks. But if you do, we're on to you. Also, you've got, they can be vain, right? They can be proud, dignified on the high side, and proud kind of on the like low functioning side, where they don't want to look bad, so they can cover their tracks, or, you know, lie about something to save face. They're such good salespeople. They're so good at talking you into whatever it is that they kind of have in mind. Like a true Leo, they're so enthusiastic and charismatic. You feel like, well, yeah, I want to do whatever it is you're talking about. That sounds great. They can really sell people into something. But that can also make them seem a little. They can be bossy sometimes, or they can be a little overbearing with what they think is the right way. If you're working like in a team, sometimes the Leo can be like wants to get its way. It's the king and the queen, so they can be a little demanding or bossy. But ultimately, they are a strong leader, and a lot of times they are correct. They have a good intuition, and it's different than a water sign intuition. It's a fire sign intuition. It's just kind of like they'll strike out and try something, and if it doesn't quite go the way that they expect it to go, they'll fix it and make it go the way. You know what I mean? That's a fixed energy. It's like taking what you've got in the present moment and making it work. Okay. Applying energy to that to make it work. Now, as far as also another shadow side thing, they do have a high need for thank yous and for praise. And I don't know that that's necessarily shadow side or low functioning. I feel like that's actually just, if you as a partner or a friend, if you understand your Leo, you recognize that they are generous and they give, okay? But they don't do it the way a Virgo does it, where it's like self-effacing, like they give. They don't really expect or nor kind of in a way want or feel comfortable with receiving in return. Leo's not like that. Leo's the divine child. It's like a kid playing. They want to throw you the ball, and then they want you to throw it back to them. Like, okay, like they want the back and forth. They want to give to you. It's just like the sun and the moon, right? So the sun shines on the moon reflects the light back. They just want this reciprocity there, and they want to be told thank you, or like to recognize that they're making an effort and they're focusing all their divine energy on you. So recognize that and know that you are with someone who is here to express their ego. So you need to support that sort of life purpose. Okay, Leo's in love. Now you've got a Leo, someone who's true Leo. They're very romantic, they're ardent, and because remember we talked about them being the divine child, there's an innocence to the way that they love. They like to have fun, they like to be spontaneous and surprise their partner with, whether it's a fun trip or it's even just something simple like a love letter that they've left for you on the counter, or, a female Leo, I can see her leaving like lipstick kisses and words and stuff on the mirror, like that kind of thing. Like they like to demonstrate and express their love when they're really in love with someone, and they're really proud. Like on social media, you see Leos, they'd be posting like pictures of their partner and the two of them together, and they want to show you off. And it's out of this place of kind of like, they just admire you as well. And so when they admire, they have to like let others know. They can't like keep it to themselves. Okay, Leo's expectations in love. Now, Leos many times, like I said earlier, they have a little pride and dignity to themselves in the way that they operate. They appreciate a partner who also takes pride in themselves. And this includes physically. A lot of Leos, they can be kind of flashy with the way that they dress. You could have a Leo that started out, with not a lot of money, and then gets a job in the real world, and starts making some good money, and then the first thing they would do is go out and buy some really nice clothes. Like they like to, again, because they're this energy that's about flowing outward from this. It's an extroverted expression of energy. So to be seen, to be heard, to make a mark, that's Leo. And so the way you dress many times, they can be bold. So they like a partner who is also someone who presents well, someone that they can take out in public and be proud of. Now, also expectations. They expect loyalty. They are loyal. If they've committed to you, if they're in love with you, with a Leo, okay? Of course, the whole chart, we need to look at the whole chart, but Leo's quite expressive and ardent. When they're in love, they can't help but tell you, so you will know. And if you violate that and you are not loyal in return, that will really anger a Leo. And it's the one thing that would make a Leo leave, really. And a Leo who stays in a situation where their partner is cheating on them, they've got to have some, water or earth on that moon, or, some other things happening there, perhaps some Virgo Pisces stuff happening, or 6 and 12 house stuff happening to get them to stay, and they're going to hate themselves the whole time that they're staying. So loyalty is important. Leo's biggest fear is, their number one kind of, remember, they're the sun. So they need to be recognized. They need to feel like they're doing something with their life that's important. In their relationships, they need to feel like they're important to the partner. There is a little bit of an egocentrism to them. I mean, look, the sun It's our star that holds our entire solar system together. So they probably deserve, and they probably, you know, a Leo typically, and if, as long as they're well aspected, they're quite loving and they deserve the admiration that they need, you know, they seek. Their biggest concern is that they're not important, that they're not, you know, number one to their partner, that they're not number one in whatever their field of work is. You know, they're quite ambitious. Because it's the sense that you came, you lived your life, but you didn't do the one thing you were supposed to come do, which is leave a mark, an indelible mark that's unique to you. That's Leo's mission. So if they feel like they're not accomplishing that, then you got a sad Leo. So that's their fear. So support them in their efforts, their creative efforts, their career efforts. Be patient with them when they do go through a little ego, times where they get a little, kind of a little inflated ego. If you can help bring them back to earth, that's always good. But do it in a nice way without hurting their dignity. Okay? And ultimately, they just need love and affection returned back to them. They're pretty simple. They want to be admired, loved, and snuggled, and all of that good stuff. So that's your Leo. Scorpio. Scorpio, these are our sun signs born from October 23rd through November 21st. Now, I love Scorpio. Probably, I have my moon in the 8th house, the Scorpio house. So you have to bear with me. This is super self-indulgent, I guess. We have got our most intense, some would say intense, possibly secretive, deeper expressions of any of the sun signs when we have a Scorpio in our midst. There is an undercurrent with Scorp. This is a scorpion. I like to think of this as the other traditional symbols applied to Scorpio would be phoenix, the eagle, the snake, because these all have to do with regeneration, death, and rebirth. The Scorpio, in my mind, has a very strong, dark feminine energy, meaning we were all at one point in time in a womb. That would have been a dark, wet place inside of a female, the feminine. And it's a place that was unconscious, that we don't remember. We were expelled from that place through a process that was probably painful, I would imagine, getting your head squeezed or squeezed? Yeah, squeezed. I was going to say squeezed. Squeezed through the birth canal, right? That cannot be pleasant. And you're this little soft, little thing, and you're helpless. So that's the dark feminine. Now, our mothers that give us life also give us death. Because to be born means you're here mortally, and you will die. So your mother gave you the gift of life and the gift of death. That's the dark feminine. That's Scorpio energy. Scorpio has to do with life and death. All of our big, big, big life lessons come through the life and death processes that we experience as humans. Everything from when you leave home to go to kindergarten as a 5-year-old, that part of your life dies and this new part is reborn. Scorpio and Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio, and traditionally Mars also rules Scorpio. So I always look at both in the birth chart, placements of both Mars and Pluto to help inform the sun. That's for another video. But these are both strong masculine energies. Mars is, the warrior, and its passion, and its fight, and its aggression. And Pluto is also similar. It's also a sort of aggression in that it's like the explosion. It's the death and rebirth of something through a process that destroys something to give birth to something else. It's almost, to me, Pluto's really actually, even though it's traditionally a male god, it to me is female. It's the dark feminine. Pluto, the god of the underworld, hello, that's about as feminine as you get. So anyway, so Scorpio types. I don't want to get in too deep on this. Scorpio types are intense. They have an intensity to them. In a personality, it comes out through this understanding that the partner, it can almost be an ethereal partnership, can be this ethereal thing where the partner could just disappear and the partnership dies, and they have to be faced with the mourning process of the death of this relationship. So this can make them quite possessive or jealous or paranoid, or they'll really pay attention to the things their partner's doing because they're looking for these little signs, waiting for the other shoe to drop, kind of a deal, right? Now, Scorpio also is traditionally thought of as ruling sex. It's like, oh, Scorpios are so sexy. They're sexed up, sex. All of any sun sign. We're human beings. It's one of our primal urges. We have a limbic system, so we desire sexual contact and emotional sexual contact and bonding and this kind of thing with our partners. So Of course, Scorpio does as well. It's how it's approached. So Scorpio, sexuality is a place for Scorpio where many times Scorpio energy is expressed through sexuality, because sex is a place where we see a perfect metaphor for life. So I always say 8th house is like this. You've got when we're born, you are one with the mother, right, in the womb. And then you're born, and then you got the mom and you got you. The individual, you take your first breath when you separate from the mother and you become a duality. It's you and the mother, all right? And then you have life, death, that rhythm, and then you die one day and are buried, cremated, whatever, okay? Your spirit ascends and goes elsewhere, in my mind. Now, with sex, you have, instead of having the one, you have the two come together to make the one. So you've got the duality coming together to make the singular, the unity, the one. And in this process, you have two people come together, they kiss, they share the breath of life with one another. Just like when you are born, you have to take that first breath alone. Sexuality is about coming back together to the oneness and sharing it with another person. That's Scorpio. That's 8th house. 8th house is all about sharing these intense bonds and contracts we have with other people. And this includes in business. This is why 8th house has to do with like loans and, money, child support, it's agreements and contracts that have been made that involve the exchange of resources, okay? Okay, so that's Scorpio. So a high functioning Scorpio, you've got someone who is focused, driven, determined. There is a strong that Martian energy, which is quite masculine, it's the masculine energy, combined with the Plutonian energy, which is this ability to transform situations. They can see the psychological underpinnings in relationships between people, like in business. They can see patterns. They can know. And they have a very strong intuition where they just kind of know the way and the direction things are going to run. So they stick with that. But they're also they're good at keeping secrets and they're good at keeping confidences with other humans. And they'll use that many times. I mean, they understand psychology, so they're good. They're good. We'll talk about this in a second. They can be manipulative. Is what I'm trying to say. But they really what they desire is intimacy with their partner. They desire closeness. They desire that bond that is unbreakable, like a to the death bond. That's what they really want. So they can be kind of intense, and they can focus all of their energy on one person. That's quite Scorp. A lot of times Scorpios, they'll be in situations with unrequited love, because when they fall in love, they really fall in love, and they're sort of stuck there. Until someone else, I suppose, comes along, but they'll still harbor that, okay? So, and also they're very sensually expressive. They are good lovers. I mean, they are comfortable going places that are quite kinky that other people maybe aren't comfortable going into. Again, look at their moon and look at their Venus. That's going to tell you emotionally how they feel about that. But because a Scorpio is interested, as most of the water signs are, they're interested in pleasing the partner, they'll roll, as they say. Low functioning Scorpio. Traditionally, Scorpios are known as being jealous. It's always, oh, Scorps are jealous, they're possessive, they're, yada, yada, yada. Yes, they are. But let's talk about why they are. Like we said earlier, Scorpio is dealing with this deep understanding, this deep sort of unconscious knowing that once something's been born, including a relationship, it will one day die. Knowing this on a really deep level, they carry that with them. So in relationships, many times, that is what drives or can fuel perhaps jealousy or worry. It's more of a worry, I feel like, and then it turns into jealousy, and it turns into like anger, because it starts as a knowing, moves to a worry. So it starts in a here feeling, moves up into the brain. They're knowing something, and then it comes back down to here, knowing it and worrying. They'll worry, ruminate about it, and then it comes back down to here, and then they're mad, they're angry. And that's when you see jealousy, okay? Because Scorps are pattern watchers. They're noticing. They notice, and they don't even know they're noticing because they're ninjas, like they're ninja noticers, and then it will come out later in an eruption of jealousy or them going through stalking your Facebook or something, stuff like that. It's also Scorpio moon, also someone who's got the moon in the 8th house. These things can happen. So or someone who's got Pluto conjunct the sun or the moon, they'll also have these similar characteristics. So they're intense emotionally. They can be temperamental. They can be all the water signs can be kind of passive-aggressive. Scorp's less likely to be passive-aggressive unless it's someone they really love and they don't want to hurt the relationship. And so they're in this double bind where they want to say something like they normally would in a business situation. Normally they're very quite aggressive, but in an interpersonal situation, they're sensitive to the partner, but then they're also mad at themselves for not saying something. They get resentful, and then it becomes this passive aggressive or silent treatment thing or control thing where they're trying to control the partner. So it can get a little messy. And the biggest issue the Scorpios have, all Scorps, they are so determined and focused on something, which is great, but they need to know when to let go and to stop, okay? You know, I've got my second daughter, third child, she's Scorpio, very Scorpio, and Libra everything else. Like all of her personal planets, Libra, but Scorpio Sun. And she is very loving, but man, when she has her mind set on something, it's really hard to explain to her logically that no, you can't have that bag of popsicles right now. And she will sit and talk with you and try and convince you for 30 minutes that she should have that bag of popsicles. That's Scorpio, okay? That's also Scorpio mixed with Libra. But she doesn't do it my other daughter's Libra with all Scorp, and that energy is very different. She's also very determined, but she candy coats it. The Scorpio Sun isn't going to candy coat it. They're going to care a lot about their interpersonal relationships with that, a lot of Libra stuff, but the Scorpio on the outside makes them more aggressive and more, you know, like in your face with it, okay, and not quitting. They're like a pit bull. They don't let go. Even a really sweet Scorpio, when they want something, they're very determined, okay? Scorpio in love, as we've been discussing, they're intense and focused. This definitely applies to their love relationships. They can be obsessive. They can many times, this is common with the Scorp, when they fall for someone, they can have this unrequited love thing I was talking about. They fall really deeply very quickly. Actually, not quickly. No, they fall very deeply, and it's something that really hits them in the middle, and they may sense that they know something, that this is someone that's meant to be with them, that sort of thing. And they've got to be careful that what they're thinking that they're knowing, that it's not actually something else that's subconsciously brewing inside of them. Perhaps this person that they're falling for so deeply, who's not requiting the affection, perhaps this person simply holds energy or behaves in a way that reflects their own inner whatever part of them that they feel like this person reflects, right? So you'd have a Scorpio that's more shy, who's attracted to someone who's really confident and bold, and I'm using a very simplistic comparison, but you know, so many times Scorps need to ask themselves, if the person's not requiting the feelings, what is it about this person that they carry that I lack, okay? And that can give you some insight in love. But that being said, side note, Scorpios in love, they have an intense sense that they should be in this partnership. If they're going to be in a partnership, they need to feel like this is meant to be, okay? Because there's a fated quality. There's this, it needs to have this sense that it's this contract they've made with one another and they're meant to be together. Also, very important to note, Scorpios, they are extreme. They want it all or they want nothing. They have a really hard time with the gray area in between. They'll walk it for a while if they love someone, but they're going to be really at least on the inside, pissed off that they're having to operate in this place where they're in this gray area that's meaningless to them. They want either all of it or none of it. Like, what's this gray area? What is this? This is not even anything. It's fake, okay? They're authentic to the extreme, right? Okay, so Scorpio expectations of love. Let's think of the myth of Pluto, right? He took Persephone away down to the underworld. He took everything. Like, Scorpio wants everything. They want true love. They want body, heart, soul, mind. They want you, you know, if they want the thing, all of it. And there's a possessive quality to Scorpio. You know, even if you've got a Scorp who's got, I know a Scorpio, I dated one who's got Uranus conjunct his Scorpio Sun. Okay, so we've got this freedom-loving energy conjunct a Scorpio Sun sign. So expressed for him, he was someone who had multiple, you know, people he was seeing. But I would say he was quite directed, and he needed to be in a role where he was kind of in charge. Would be sort of the Scorpio. He had to have that self-possession. And if he knew that you were seeing other people, he wouldn't really, he'd see you, but he wouldn't open himself up at all. It was all inward inside of him. So they will give you everything, and they expect everything in return. They won't give you anything until they think they're going to get everything, kind of a deal too, you know. So they expect it all. They're an extreme sign. Scorpio's biggest fear, when you have a sun sign, a zodiac sign, a personality, that is one of extremes. It's all or nothing. it's intense, and there's a focus there. They can focus that intensity and shine it like a laser on one person. Their fear is that they understand that they're deep, they understand that they're intense and that they're a lot, and their fear is that it's not going to be reciprocated, and that it's maybe not even possible for it to be reciprocated, that they will walk the earth unrequited in their love, and that they'll be solo travelers. Even in a relationship, like there's even that fear for Scorps, you know, that they get into a love relationship where it's a committed relationship, but they feel like their partner is never quite in the same place that they're at, this life or death, I will die for you place. So they really need a partner who is as intense as they are, in my mind, who's grounded but really intense and willing to intensely go to those places. And it takes someone, in my mind, that has some strong Scorpio or some strong 8th house or some strong Pluto on their sun or their moon or their rising. Even their Venus maybe, but I would like to see it on luminaries because it's your personality. Like you got to be okay with some intense depth for it to work. Leo and Scorpio, this is quite the powerful combination. You've got two fixed signs. Anytime we put two fixed signs together, you have a coupling that is sometimes they have a hard time getting away from one another. If they have other, you know, if they've got incompatible birth charts relative to all of their other planets and all their inner aspects, sometimes when you've got lots of fixed signs, they just stay together. Now, this could work well if you've got a Leo and a Scorpio that are willing to sort of compromise with one another and give in every now and then. Scorpio will always, there's a sense of Scorpio feeling like they're right, and possibly they a lot of times are right, following their intuition, and Leo just assuming that they're right because they're Leo. Leo's like, well, of course I'm right. Of course, like there's this innocent sort of selfishness about a Leo where they're the divine child, you know, and the world revolves around them. And so there can be a little bit of a conflict there between these two. But it's also ultimately what will attract these two is you've got, you know, Scorpio's got these deep, dark depths, and Leo is the sun. So they have this yin-yang quality, which is kind of their natural expression. Leo will want to kind of pull the Scorpio out, and Scorpio will enjoy kind of hiding from the Leo, but we'll also appreciate Leo's sort of sparkly ease with which they operate in the world. You know, they're just this outgoing flow of energy from their personality, and they're very charismatic, and Scorpio's more reserved and holding back and sort of watching and observing. So there's a natural intrigue there between these two. Will play out over the long haul. What you're going to see, this is a relationship that will not be missing out on fighting. Fighting will happen in this relationship, okay? What will happen is perhaps Leo might want their ego satisfied in some way, or they might want to get their way on something, and Scorpio doesn't want to give them their way. Then Leo's ego is bruised, and then Scorpio will recognize that and might feel manipulated and might pull back, and then Leo will turn into the divine child, and there could either be a temper tantrum or there could be the Leo coming and being like, what, I didn't even mean anything by it, it was no big deal, and the Scorpio being like the seething thing that happens inside of Scorpio where they're thinking, yes, it was a big deal, it meant something to me, and you know, so and so on and so forth. So you see, you've got one person who is a little more serious, the Scorpio, one person is a little bit more they're a little bit less serious when it comes to emotions. They can kind of feel something strongly and then it goes away and they're on to the next thing. So it's whatever suits them in that moment. So stop, little guy. Oh my gosh, I have the whiniest puppy today. So a little bit of fights could happen between these two. Specific areas of conflict between these two would be that they will have a passionate, at least in the beginning, if they can, over time there might be resentments that build up that can take this away, but in the beginning they'll have a physically passionate relationship. Leo, as I said, is a Leo sun, so we're not talking about the person's, you know, Mars or their Venus, but there is this attitude towards sexuality when you have a Leo sun that's very, you know, kind of innocent and fun and playful, and Scorpio's attitude towards sexuality is more intense, more attached to their emotions. They're more apt to be a little slower to open up and to allow someone in. Or a little bit more secretive or hesitant. So there's very different opposite energies, but once they get in, it's pretty powerful and passionate because these are fixed signs that square each other, so it's pretty hot. How other people will see this relationship, most likely just passionate and intense, and maybe even a little bit crazy, a little bit, so it's kind of can be a little bit like a ticking time bomb, these two together, just waiting to see who's going to explode next, I suppose, in a sense, just because the way that they sort of set each other off. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Leo-Scorpio relationship, and down below, and we'll chat about it. Okay, have a great day. Thanks for watching.